What's up, YouTube? Now, you see the title of this video, and you see the video that I have on the screen here. Now, in my last video, I said I was going to do a breakdown on the North Carolina train incident. You know, the Ukrainian girl that allegedly got stabbed to death by the black man on the train, right? That everyone's crashing out over. You got all the racists, you know, crashing out, busting nuts on the screen, just happy that they have a story to try to validate their racism against black people, their irrational, demonic hatred against black people. In this video, I said in my last video that I was going to drop some groundbreaking information on this shit, and you see who I've added and who I have on the screen. I'm gonna show, and if you don't know who this is, Gematria Fake News. He does. I've mentioned his channel before when I've talked about Gematria. The few videos I have on my channel talking about Gematria. He does his decodes, breaking down a lot of the fake news stories and decoding how a lot of the stuff you see in the news is all done by number ritual, along with even sports I've mentioned before and things like that. For those who don't know what Gematria is, to briefly go over it again, it's a Kabbalistic practice of coding numbers into letters and words, and it's a practice that really dates back to, you could say, ancient Babylon, Sumer, whatever, right? The Israelites utilize this as well. For those of you that watch me that are Hebrew Israelites, King Solomon had this knowledge, and in fact, the Jesuits, who are the ones who run this system, who control everything, they got a lot of their knowledge and magic and whatnot from King Solomon's temple, long after the fall of Israel and stuff like that. The Templars got a lot of his knowledge, and that's why a lot of secret societies revere King Solomon. But that's a whole nother video, right? Gematria, briefly, like I said, a Kabbalistic practice of code numbers and letters and words. This is what the elites use in all their news stories, movies, even I've mentioned before, video games, and sports is even by the numbers, scripted. And a lot of the stuff you see, a lot of these polarizing news stories is all by the numbers. It's all, these stories that they make, these manufactured events and crises. The Charlie Kirk stuff, for example, that was by the numbers too. I didn't go over that in my last video, but it was by the numbers, right? If you watch the person I have on the screen, Zach, he went over that. They recently deleted one of his videos where he talked about it when it eventually happened. YouTube loves to censor, and that's how this stuff is the truth, right? But enough of me going on about that. For those of you that want to know more, you can go and look at Zach's channel. Like I said, I have him added. He has a way bigger catalog than me. You can learn a lot more about this stuff. I'm going to go over and decode this. I'm going to show a portion of his video that he did going over it so you can see some of the stuff. But I have an even bigger breakdown on it that I did to just further show how every detail of this story is bullshit. And it's just another way for them to try to cause, more racial division, have the idiots crashing out. And at the end of this video, I have a message for all of you racists, all you racist white devils, man. I got a message for y'all, man. I got a message for y'all because y'all are so hypocritical and full of shit. It's amazing. I mean, I sit back and I watch you crash out all the time, just trying to find ways to justify your wickedness. And I got a message for you goofies at the end of this video. But sticking to the decode, right? Let me play this video because I don't want to go on too long. Because this video, I got a lot to go into, For all the dummies that are going to say it's coincidence, you're going to do what you do. You're low IQ. You can't understand this knowledge. That's cool. That's why the elites have the power they have and you don't. But I'm gonna play a portion of this video so you can see some of the stuff in here. Zach went over some of it briefly, but I have a way deeper breakdown I'm gonna go into. So let me go ahead and play this video, and then some of this video, and then I'm gonna go into my my own decode.
Routine encoding. This is another story that makes black people look bad, right? The media has done this for decades, projected black people as being violent, dangerous, sexually aggressive, distributors of drugs, etc. There's so many stories like this, and what's crazy is when you learn this code, you'll see in these stories again and again, these exact same numbers are coded into the names. 59 and 76, like slave, Negro, Rasta Blues. Again, Black History Month ends on the 59th day of the year. The feds recognize Black History Month in 76. Barack Obama equals 76. His Secret Service name Renegade equals 59. When he put out his book, A Promised Land, on November 17th, the day leaving 44 days left in the year, his book, A Promised Land, equals 59 and 76, and on and on and on. Long list of this, but then also the killer's 34 years old, right? One of Charlie Sheen's last posts was about this incident, and then only for him to get killed, so we're told 34 days from his birthday. Murder in Ukraine equals 34, so does black. You know, a black man supposedly killed a Ukrainian woman as a 34-year-old. 34-year-old suspect has been heard speaking since the stabbing, saying that something was put into his head to make him do this. Sounds like MK Ultra, right? The woman who was killed, her name equals 79, like Ukrainian murder. Charlie Kirk's death is synced with Trump's 79th birthday. At the beginning of the Ukraine war, go back and look up the headlines. At the beginning of it, inflation was going up fast, and they said inflation was up to 7.9% because of the war escalation with Ukraine. That was all over the news as the news broke. And I just showed people all the time. I said, come on, you guys, 7.9% due to the war escalation with Ukraine. This is news by the numbers. That was back in 2022. Remember when Joe Biden addressed the nation at 2:22 Eastern time on February 22nd, 2022, 2 days before the war officially began? That was the same day that Russia went inside Ukraine's border. 2 days later, the anniversary of the Catholic Church and the Jesuits installing the calendar, the war officially began. Also, just the woman's name also has the 56 and 79, like Society of Jesus. That's the Jesuits. Go see my work on the Minnesota shooting for where those numbers came up. Go see my work on the shooting on December 4th, 2012, where those numbers came up, and a million other things. What happened with the whole pandemic on the 79th day, Anthony Fauci being 79 years old, whose name equals 56. Go back at this same pattern over and over. Also, again, just one more time, also in the news yesterday.
So that's all really that he went over when it comes to that. I mean, honestly, that alone is enough to show you just how this stuff's about the numbers, but it goes even deeper, right? It goes even deeper. This whole situation is, of course, like I said, just another way for them to create more racial division, more bullshit. And, you know, the elites, I don't know what's going on recently. You know, all these racial stories they've been having, they crashing out right now, bro. Like, honestly, I think something is coming that got them like shook, because the way they trying to cause people to crash out is very profound. Like, it's racial story after racial story. You know, you got the Charlie Kirk shit now, people crashing out over that. You know, they're trying to cause some sort of fucking division, and I mean, of course, they've always been doing this, but it's heavier now than ever. I've noticed. I don't know what's coming, but they crashing out. So I'm gonna get into my own decode now, right? I got, you know, Gematria Nader open. We're gonna go over this story. I got all my notes. I've already decoded this, and I got it all written down. For those who don't, you know, like I said, you go look at Zach Shee, you'll learn more about this stuff. But the 4 base ciphers, which is right here, I got the ordinal, the reduction, reverse, and reverse reduction. All of these are, I would say, the most important ciphers that they operate through. You know, these ciphers are pretty damn simple. You know, when it comes to like the ordinal, you got ABC 1, 2, 3 all the way up to the full alphabet. Then you got you know, reduction 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. then it repeats, then goes again, you know, all the way through the alphabet. You got reverse, and it's, you know, it basically reverses from the last letter of the alphabet on up to the first. Then you got reverse reduction, you know, basically that goes from, as you see, last letter of the alphabet on up to 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3. You know, you look at Zach's stuff more. He goes over it more. I don't really want to focus too much on all of the different number sequences of these ciphers, because that would just take too long in the history of a lot of these ciphers. But I got 11 ciphers open. I see these as the most important ciphers that they use. They don't just use the 4 base. Zach focuses a lot of times on the 4 base, but they use all these ciphers. They use all of them. You got the ciphers. They use pretty much all the ciphers. Some of the ciphers on this site that the dude who made this, he made like his own sort of ciphers. They're not actually like, you know, ciphers that are like have any type of like historical backing or whatever, but that don't really count those. These ciphers, all of these, like I said, are some of the most important. I got open 11. There's more I could have open, but I just got these. These are all relevant to this ritual they've done with this train incident. So we're going to operate out all these ciphers, and I'm going to show you all the numbers and how everything connects. You know, for all the people who like to say it's coincidence, you can't just make everything match. You can't just type in anything. So I'm going to show all of the synchronicities with this event, right? But before I even like, you know, get into, you know, decoding all the notes that I got, breaking them down with this incident, this story, like going over it again, right, happened in Charlotte, North Carolina. Black man stabs a Ukrainian woman, seemingly for no reason. All the racists are crashing out. Allegedly, according to the story, he had schizophrenia, which, like I said, at the end of this video, I'm going to address you white racists to call out y'all hypocrisy and bullshit. But he had schizophrenia, allegedly. And, you know, he basically just crashed out, stabbed her and shit. And this is a very polarizing story. But getting into, you know, the decoding the numbers, right? I got the article open, the ABC News article. And you go over a lot of these articles, you'll be able to see the numbers and how everything goes when it comes to the rituals, the number rituals. You type in a lot of the things, the names of people, the time of the events, the day of the event, the name of the place they were at, the train, all of these things all have a numerical importance. So just me like starting off, we're getting into it. We see that her last name, as you saw, is Zarutska. I don't know how to say that. I'm guessing that's how you say that shit, right? So showing you right off the bat how they do this stuff, right? So her name, Zarutska, right? Which equals 54. Now, for those who know, we know that's important because what? Jesuit order equals 54. You see 54, Jesuit order, her last name equals 54 in the 4 base ciphers, right? Now, many people could say, oh, that's coincidence, bro, or you're trying to make the numbers match. We can keep going, right? Now we look at the guy, right, who allegedly stabbed her, the Carlos Brown. His name equals 42 in the septenary cipher. Why is that important? Of course, for those who know, Jesuit equals 42. So the name of the guy who allegedly killed her has a 42 numerology, and Jesuit equals 42, right? And just because they're in 2 different ciphers doesn't mean anything. In fact, when things match in 2 different ciphers, that's even more of a significance. So, and like I said, they use all the ciphers. So we got 42, right? Jesuit equals 42. If you look at the article, right, it says that he wore a orange sweatshirt. Now, why is that important? I'm showing you how deep they do this shit, right? I'm showing you how deep it is, right? The Carlos Brown. Fucking bugging with my typing right now, but the Carlos Brown, you see that 76 on the screen in the 4 base cipher? 76, the Carlos Brown. Why is that important? They said he wore an orange sweatshirt. I'm gonna show you just how deep they do this shit. It's actually hilarious. Orange sweatshirt equals 76. He was wearing an orange sweatshirt. Orange sweatshirt, 76. The Carlos Brown, 76. Let's continue. So another thing is the article says that he was a 34-year-old man, right? 34-year-old DeCarlos Brown Jr., right? Why is that important? The woman's Ukrainian, right? Ukraine equals 34. He so happened to be 34, killing a Ukrainian woman, and Ukraine equals 34. Continuing on. Now, she was stabbed to death, right? A lot of times they do these stabbing rituals because stab equals 42, just like Jesuit equals 42, right? So, she was stabbed to death, and that has a significance to the Jesuit order. We look at the word stabbed. Stabbed equals 27 in the septenary cipher. Why is that important? Because Zarutska, her last name, right, equals 27 in gematria. So she was stabbed, right? Stabbed 27. Her last name equals 27. Continuing on. August 22nd. They allege this happened on August 22nd. Now, if you write out August 22nd with ND at the end, because that's a way that you would write out August 22nd, because when you say when you say August 22nd, the ND is placed at the end. That's a way to write it out, right? So August 22nd equals 54. Now, we already went over, the significance of 54. Jesuit order equals 54, right? Already showed you the significance of the Jesuit order and how that's connected. And it just so happened this happened on August 22nd, which has a numerical connection with the Jesuit order, right? Another thing is this happened in the month of August, right? August in the Chaldean cipher equals 23, and Zarutska is said to be 23 years old, right? Another thing, August equals 17, just like stabbed equals 17, right? She was stabbed to death in the month of August. Even showing you how deep it is, even with the ages, right? If you write out the words 23, because she was 23 years old, 23 is 53 in gematria. You see that? 53. Why is that important? Because guess what else equals 53 if you didn't see at the first? Stabbed equals 53. So she's 23 years old, gets stabbed. The words 23 equals 53. She was stabbed, right? And 23 also equals 54 in the septenary cipher, just like Jesuit order. Then we got the train they were on, which was named Lynx Blue Line. Lynx Blue Line equals 56. You see that? What's the significance of that? The guy who was said to have killed her, DeCarlos Brown, was 34. 34 equals 56. So the 34-year-old man killed the Ukrainian woman on a train, which has a numerology of 56, and 34 equals 56. And he was 34 years old, right? And that also applies to another connection to that. It also equals 61, right? Lynx Blue Line 61, 34 equals 61. Going into some more stuff, because I got a lot more. Now, if you put in DeCarlos Brown Jr., his full name, which is DeCarlos Brown Jr., DeCarlos Brown Jr. equals 93 in gematria. Now, the importance of that is, if you look at the birthday of this alleged woman who was stabbed to death, this Ukrainian woman, her first name is I don't know if you say that, Irina. I don't know how to say that shit. Irina Zarutska, right? That's her name. If you look up her birthday, right? Her birthday was on May 22nd. Now, this event happened on August 22nd. Now, May 22nd to August 22nd is 93 days. So her birthday was 93 days from this alleged stabbing. So the dude who killed her, DeCarlos Brown Jr., his name equals 93 in gematria. And the stabbing happened 93 days from her birthday. They do a lot of that stuff too when it comes to the rituals, when it comes to birthdays. There's significance to birthdays and stuff like that. So there's the significance to that. Just more showing you how they do this by the number of rituals. And here's another thing too. We put that in there. I almost forgot. Link's blue line, you see, equals 56. But here's something else that equals 56. Now, she's from Ukraine. If you look up where exactly she was born in Ukraine, she was born in Kiev. I think that's how you say that. Kiev, Ukraine. Kiev, Ukraine. You see that. Kiev, Ukraine equals 56. Link's blue line, the train she was on equals 56. So that's just more showing you just how deep they do these rituals. Going into, something else. It's just every single detail of these stories are always by the numbers in this way I'm about to show you, right? His last name is Brown, right, which is 72. Significance of that, right? Another Jesuit order connection. Jesuit order equals 72. Jesuit order equals 72. Brown equals 72. Just more of a connection there. Both of their last names have a Jesuit order connection, right? For those like say, "Oh, you're making the numbers match." Nah, bruh. This is what it is. Now, here's another thing, another connection they both have. If you take her first name, which is Irnia, I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I mean, hell, you see the fucking name. Irnia, right? Equals 32, right? In reverse reduction. And you take DeCarlos, which is the name of the dude that was said to have stabbed her, right? DeCarlos equals 32. So DeCarlos equals 32, Irnia equals 32. Both of them have an overlap in their first names. Now, going on some more, just to show you how deep this is. This happened on August 22nd. If you look up what day August 22nd was on, August 22nd was on a Friday. Now, why is that important? Irnia Zarutska, her full name is 36 in the Chaldean. Friday has a numerology, has a numerical value of 36 in two of the 4 base ciphers. So her full name has 36. Friday equals 36. Going on some more. Friday has a numerology of 90, has a number value of 99. And you look at her last name. Her last name also has that 99. Reverse 99, Friday 99, her last name 99. Once again, just showing you how deep these decodes are, how they do this shit. And the same thing applies. I almost forgot. Let me type it back in so you can see. It's not just in those ciphers. It's in another cipher. I think the reverse Sumerian. Yeah, reverse Sumerian 594 Friday. Zarutska 594 has an overlap in that cipher as well. And when things overlap in multiple different ciphers like that, that's even more of a energy to it and more of a significance. I'm going to continue going because I got a lot more. This video is going to be a longer one, right? So we got Zarutska equals 27. And then she was killed with a knife, right? Zarutska 27, knife 27. So there's that significance, right? We also have this, if people didn't notice, because a lot of times, pay attention, you look at the articles, you look at the videos that they have, they show. She worked at a pizzeria, and I think she was actually wearing her pizzeria, clothing for wherever she worked, right? So you see the value of pizzeria, right? Pizzeria equals 56. Why is that important? I already showed this, but Link's blue line, the train she was on equals 56. So you see pizzeria, she worked at a pizzeria. Pizzeria equals 56. Link's blue line equals 56. So there's, like I said, every single detail of this story, and they connect everything. Almost everything in it is connected when you look at the articles. If we look at where it happened at in Charlotte, right? Charlotte equals 34 in a Chaldean, right? And the guy who killed her is said to be 34 years old. It's funny, I couldn't even find his birthday. It's nowhere to be found. I don't know. I mean, this whole thing there's a litany of things this thing could have been. It could have been an AI video, CGI. It could be just some reenacted crap. However they do it, it's manufactured though, at the end of the day, right? But, he's said to be 34. Charlotte, which has happened in, is 34. And then also, if we look at pizzeria again, right? Pizzeria equals 43, right? And he was wearing DeCarlos Brown was wearing a sweatshirt, right? Sweatshirt equals 43, pizzeria equals 43. So there's that connection. You know, there's that connection. Just showing you how deep they connect this stuff. And then sweatshirt, you know, sweatshirt also equals 34, and he was 34 years old. Even in the article, right? Here's another thing. Like I said, you got to look at everything in these articles, right? This little tidbit right here is Zarutska, 23, was fatally stabbed on August 22nd, just before 10 p.m. A lot of times when they say stuff like that, it's kind of a weird detail. Like, I don't know. To me, it was a weird detail. Like, oh, stabbed on August 22nd, just before 10 p.m. Why not just say the exact time? I don't know. It's weird to me. So I put that in gematria, though. If you look at 10 p.m. in gematria, 10 p.m. is 17, right? Now, we already went over what else equals 17, right? Stabbed equals 17. So 10 p.m. equals 17, stabbed equals 17. A lot of times these little small things they put in these articles are just more of, you know, it's just more of a part of that numerical ritual, right? Now, if we look at the day that they released the footage of this, because it happened on August 22nd, right? But they released the footage on September the 5th, right? If you put September 5, which is the way you write that out, right? September 5, if you put that in gematria, September 5 equals what? 43 in the Chaldean. Now, why is that important? We've already went over some stuff, right? Pizzeria equals 43 as well, right? So pizzeria equals 43. September 5th, which is the day they released the footage, equals 43. And then we already went over like sweatshirt, of course, equals 43 as well. Going over some more stuff, right? You see that September 5th equals 44. What else equals 44? Her full name equals 44. Irina Zarutska equals 44 in septenary. September 5th, the day they released this footage, equals 44 in septenary in the same cipher, right? So, just showing you just how deep this shit is connected. Now, if we look at the state it was in, right? It was in Charlotte, North Carolina. North Carolina equals 77. The man who was alleged to have killed her, DeCarlos, his first name equals 77. So North Carolina equals 77. DeCarlos equals 77. Keep going. I don't think I showed his name when it comes to the Friday connection, right? I think I just showed her last name, if I remember correctly, right? Brown, if you look at Brown, right? Brown equals 63. Friday equals 63. So both of their last names have a connection to the actual day that it occurred, right? That's how deep this stuff is. What else do I have here? I think I showed Friday, right? Friday equals 17 in the Chaldean. And then stabbed equals 17. She was stabbed on Friday, right? Just more of a, you know, how the shit's connected. And then I forgot to mention as well, 10 p.m. 10 p.m. equals 17. Right, I showed the stabbed, but I also didn't show that August, right? August equals 17. This happened in the month of August. August is 17, 10 p.m., which they decided to mention in the article is 17. What else do I have here? Okay, so let me see here. Let me see. I think it's in the article if I can find it. Okay, yeah, here it is. You see this, the Charlotte Area Transit System, or the CATS. If you take that abbreviation, CATS, and put that in gematria, right? CATS, which is the name of the company that released the footage. CATS equals what? Guess what? 17. We already know. 17. Stabbed equals 17. Right? Friday equals 17. 10 p.m. equals 17. August equals 17. This happened in August, right? CATS also equals 43. And we've already went over that The footage was released by the CATS, which is the Charlotte Area Transit System. The footage was released by them on September 5th. September 5 equals what? 43. The CATS equals 43, right? So there's that connection. They released the footage on a day that has numerology of the abbreviation of the company, right? This is how deep this stuff is. Another thing to note, right? He was wearing an orange sweatshirt. Orange equals 33. Just like August equals 33, right? Septenary cipher, August equals 33. Orange equals 33. This happened in the month of August. She was a refugee from Ukraine. That's what they said. She was a Ukrainian refugee escaping the war in Ukraine, right? Refugee equals 34. What else equals 34? We've already shown it, but I'll show it again. Charlotte also equals 34. Chaldean, 34. Refugee in the Chaldean also equals 34. And then we already showed, but sweatshirt also equals 34. He was wearing a sweatshirt. So I've shown all of these numerical connections and how this whole story is by the numbers. All this is facilitated by the Jesuits, right? This is how they do the number rituals every single fucking day. This is how they operate. This is how they move. This is how they, this is what they do. This is what they do. Every single fucking day, this is what they do. But everything by the numbers. Now, I'm gonna close everything when it comes to Gematria. I'm just gonna open up this screen here because I have, like I said, at the end of this video, I gotta address you racists, man. I gotta address you clowns. If any of you retarded, low IQ, white racist devils are watching, I know that your brain can't compute this. I know that your IQ was too low despite claiming that you were high IQ, superior whites. You can't comprehend this shit because you're too dumb. But if you're still watching, for any of you racists, I have a message for you dummies. Because your hypocrisy, don't think that no one sees it, right? You may be dumb, but I'm not. I know you like to think, you're a low IQ, black, ape, monkey, and all this, but your insults don't really matter anymore. No one gives a fuck. You are a devil and a savage beast, and anything you say about anyone else is you. If you want to see an ape, monkey, look in the mirror, okay? I've been seeing all of you racists crashing out, losing your minds, chimping out on, I don't frequent X at all, but I've heard of this shit. I've seen, YouTube shit of you fucking savages losing your minds over this shit. Now, I've just shown how all this shit's manufactured by the numbers. This is how the elites operate. If you had any sense, you would go click who I have added, go watch Zach to see some of his shit. But I know, some of y'all already know about him. That's the thing, right? Because like individuals like Jim Bob and, Andrew Wilson, these are the types of individuals, the types of people I'm talking about. Because Jim Bob, he's one of these racists, right? He's one of these neo-Nazis, so-called Christians who likes to discredit Gematria. Because I'm going to tell you why. I made a whole video about this going in on Andrew Wilson, but I'm gonna go over it briefly again. The reason a lot of these individuals like Jim Bob and Andrew Wilson, a lot of these racist pieces of shit want to discredit Gematria is because they don't want their whole ideology to be shattered. See, because they don't like the fact that Zach calls out how it's the Jesuits doing this shit. Because if it's the Jesuits, then they can't blame the Jews anymore, right? They can't, say it's the Jews. And it's funny, they like to make it seem like the Jews are a whole different race when the Jews are white, bruh. They're white. They come from Eastern Europe. We got the history on this. But y'all have to believe y'all dumb shit because they want to believe in the Nazi rhetoric of Adolf Hitler and he was, all the racist white stuff, the racist white supremacy bullshit that came from, the Nazis and all that nonsense that's pushed. They want to attach on to that. even though all that was a psyop too. That's a whole nother video. They want to attach onto that goofiness. They want to act like the Jews are the enemy. They want to blame them for everything. They want to make it seem like everything is the fault of the Jews. They want to latch on to the white supremacy nonsense, because I've mentioned in past videos, white supremacy, the ideology for a lot of these individuals, it's just cope, right? It's a coping mechanism. They want to feel better than somebody because they feel less than inside. So what better way than to latch on to the ideology of white supremacy, to then try to exalt yourself over the inferior blacks, as they would claim, to feel better about themselves. These are a very insecure group of individuals we're dealing with. And people like Jim Bob and others, they don't want to acknowledge this information because they have to remain in that cope. They have to blame the blacks, the Jews, all this dumb shit. If it's the Jesuits, they can't racialize it. They can't make it to where, okay, we have to unify against this group of people who are white, just so happen to be white. It's undeniable white people control this earth. Running around saying it's the Jews is nonsense, and they're still white. So once again, you're idiotic. But they want to racialize it. They have to racialize. It's the only way they can exist. Without racism, many of these white individuals you see, like Jim Bob and all these other insecure white devils, they would have been self-deleted, bro. Racism is the fabric that's keeping them moving every day. Without it, they would self-delete. Y'all don't understand, but that's how deep it is with them. They would self-delete if they can't feel better than the blacks. They would self-delete if they can't grandstand over a marginalized community. This is how much of a bitch a lot of these insecure racist white males are. And then you got your alt-right white females that love to pander to them and shit, right? And I'm going to address the alt-right white females also in a minute. But these racist clowns, man, they have to cope. And that's the whole thing with white supremacist ideology. It's a coping mechanism for whatever inferiority complex these people have. And this helps them further push their nonsense, their racism, and they need to cope. Like I said, they need to cope. So seeing black violence and being like, yo, look, see, I told you they're predisposed to violence. You see, look, they're uncivilized black brutes. They're killing a poor white woman. We got to do something about these black brutes, these apes. All of that crash out shit y'all doing, nobody gives a fuck. You want to know why? Because you're a hypocrite, right? You're a hypocrite. See, if this was a white man that did this, we would be seeing no coverage, bruh. None, nada, no coverage. No coverage would be given. The same outrage they having, they would not have any outrage. They wouldn't be making, goofy images and shit. I went on X briefly yesterday because I had to see the Charlie Kirk shit, see him get packed up, because I couldn't, I was like, there ain't no way he got shot. I saw the footage, crazy, right? And then, I was scrolling on X a little bit. I do not go on X. Too many Nazis. I don't got time for that dumb shit. I don't got time for that energy. I understand how energy works. I don't got time to see that negative energy, bro. These people are low IQ. But, I'm scrolling, man, and I'm seeing these. They're making these cartoon images of the incident showing the Carlos Brown as a devil, and, Zarutska as this innocent white angel. And I'm just like, bro, y'all crashing out, bro. Y'all are doing the most. None of this would be happening if he was a white male. I want y'all to understand this. If this was a white man that did this, nobody would give a fuck. No one would be crashing out. No one would be saying justice for Irina Zarutska. No one would care. And what that shows is that they don't really care about white people. The main people screaming about white power and white unity, they don't give a fuck about white people, bro. Because when white people kill white people, y'all don't got nothing to say. Y'all don't have nothing to say. Y'all are silent as a mouse, bro. Y'all are completely silent. Y'all don't got nothing to say. Y'all are completely silent when white people kill white people. If this was a white man, and how I know that too is it's funny, and I'm gonna make a separate video on the case if I can find it. Funny thing is with ChatGPT now, you can go in there and just type in stuff and it will actually point you to the direction of what you might be looking for. That's why I love AI now to a degree. It does help for things. Even though AI is is a sinister side to it. That's a whole nother video, but AI is helpful in some things, right? So I could go in there and find it, and I'm gonna make that video. There was a story, I think it happened the day after, bro. You can't make this shit up, where a white man stabbed a white woman on a train. I ain't heard none of these motherfuckers say anything about it. Where are the same Twitter Nazis at when it comes to that? I don't even know their name, the dude's name. That's how much they don't give a fuck. That's how much they don't give a fuck. I don't even know the name. I don't even know the name of the woman. You want to know why I don't know the names of the man and the woman? Because they don't give a fuck. They're not going to make it go viral. They're not going to polarize it because they don't care when white people kill white people. They don't care if it was a white man in this situation named Kyle Tucker or some shit. We wouldn't hear about it. Just like we don't know, a lot of y'all probably don't even know the story I'm talking about with the white man the day after that killed a white woman on the train as well. Because they don't care. They don't care. They don't care about white women. They don't care about white people in general. And for all of you alt-right, dumbass white bitches, for all of you, goofy, trifling, alt-right white women that love to run around pandering to these clown, cowardly white males, you see they don't give a fuck about you. Because if they did, they would say something about the story I'm talking about. Hell, if any of you dumb alt-right white women are watching, you probably don't even know about the story because you too are a degenerate that only follows behind the nutsacks of these cowardly white males. But you will never stand up for yourself. You don't give a fuck. You don't even care about white women and you a white woman. That's tough. You don't even care. A white woman gets killed by a white man on the train. We don't see shit about it. Where's Trump? Why ain't Trump showing that? Because we can't polarize it by race, right? No one cares. No one cares. But when a black man who has allegedly, now I just showed you all this is manufactured, but let's just go with it. The story happened. Even in this little story that they allege happened, he had schizophrenia. So a schizophrenic black man kills a white woman and they want to start a race war. Are you serious? See, this is the level of hypocrisy. This is the level of cowardice too. I mentioned in my last video, the American racist white male. Now, I said American racist white male. I'm not saying all white men because all white men are not bitch made. They don't engage in bitch ass behavior like this. They don't run around, trying to find any and every way to blame a marginalized community for the downfall of America. They really like to run around and say that black people are being used by the Jews to destroy America. This is a cowardly group of men we're dealing with. The American racist white male is the most cowardly group of men in recorded human history. I'm on record saying that. I'm going to make a separate video even going in on that. The most cowardly group of men in recorded human history, bruh. In recorded human history. I can't think of no one more bitch made. I can't think of no one more cowardly. I can't think of no one more effeminate than this American racist white male, the most cowardly group of men in recorded human history. And that's a sad title to get because you would think with all the shit going on and how it's clear that the elites is cutting the funding of shit, inflation, all the economy crumbling, instead of addressing that, you want to address the blacks. You want to find any and every way to blame black people because, like I said, they're cowards. They don't want smoke. But I hate when these notifications show up at the bottom. It's cool. I got fucking Unreal Engine downloaded on my computer, right? I'm making a game. But anyway, these fucking clowns, right? They have all the smoke in the world. They have all the smoke in the world for a marginalized community. But they don't got no smoke for these elites. They don't got no smoke. They running around in complete and utter cowardice at the sight of the elites. I'm starting to think this shit is epigenetic going back to the medieval times. I got a lot of videos I want to make on this topic because the cowardice is just astounding to me. For a group of people that claim we was Vikings, we built the worlds and shit. For a group of people that claim to be some warriors and all this shit, you sure are bitch made when it comes to the elites. Y'all sure are petrified of them. You big and bad when it comes to a marginalized community, but you real silent with them and white elites though. You real pressed to lay a finger on them. You are not no warriors. You ain't no Vikings. You are bitches. You are little boys masquerading as men. Stop with the title of men. It's disgraceful to claim y'all men when we have real white men in history that y'all trying to claim that title. And that's disrespectful to them. You disrespecting real white men in history, bruh. And I can't let that slide, bro. I'm not about to let little boys, little bitches claim manhood, bro. Y'all not men. like I said in my last video, when it comes to people like Legion of Men, the Legion of Boys, that's his new name. That's what I'm gonna go address him as, henceforth. These clowns, man, the selective outrage, the cowardice, the hypocrisy, it's amazing to see. I mean, they're a pathological group of people, very, very insane, bro, to see. With all the propaganda we have in this country and the world, they would have you thinking that white people are the most intelligent group of people on the face of the planet and all this other shit. But like, when you really look at it, it's like, bro, a lot of you motherfuckers are dumb. And this don't just apply to white people, of course. But when it comes to the propaganda, when you actually analyze the shit with no bias lens, bro, it don't look good, bro. How you can't really push that when you have dumbasses like, Legion of Men and others running around, these racists and stuff on Twitter and whatnot. It's hard to push that type of propaganda because the intellectual deficiency is very present. It's very obvious. But yeah, man, these stories, man, the elites, like I said, they're crashing out. I don't know what the fuck they got planned. Something got them crashing out to where they're constantly making these racialized stories and, doing everything in their power to push this shit and polarize it. So that something's coming down the pipe. They crashing out, man. They crashing out heavy. My next video after this, and I keep saying I'm gonna do my Anton Daniels video, but there's so many things that keep coming up, and I got way better videos, honestly, that I would want to do besides that. But my next video is either going to be about Anton Daniels or it's going to be addressing somebody else. I want to address a certain individual. I'm not going to name who it is. I'm going to add them in that video, though. You'll see who I'm talking about. Because I was scrolling and I came across a goofy ass video and I clicked on it and I was just like, bro, like it's kind of in realm with this video when it comes to these white races, bro. I'm literally watching the video and I'm like, bro, you can't be serious, bro. Like, the levels of cope that you got to go through to make that video that individual made is insane. And I was laughing the whole fucking time, bro. Like, they are so obsessed with black people, bro. I can't fathom this shit, bro. I can't get my mind around a weird obsession with us, bro. I do not understand it for the life of me, bro. I cannot comprehend it, bro. And, I don't understand it, man. I'm trying to compute the shit, bro. I can figure out a lot of shit, but I can't figure this one out, bro. I'm gonna need Tony Stark to figure out this equation. I need somebody of high intellect to figure this out. It don't make sense to me, bro. I mean, I kind of get it to a degree, but at the same time, I don't. It's kind of a weird conundrum. It's insane. They have a weird obsession, bro. Something is wrong with these individuals, bro. And they will bring the downfall of this country. The more they keep running around with this racist nonsense and we keep ignoring these elites fucking shit up, this country is going to crumble. And it's going to be because of degenerate white racists, bro. They're going to bring down this country. Their low IQ is going to, ironically, they claim to have high IQ, but their low IQ is going to destroy this country, bro. It's insane. But that's all I really got to say for this video, man. I showed you in this video, all this stuff's about the numbers, all scripted. As usual, I do have more videos I will do on Gematria. I got some decodes on movies. I got to show video games just to show you more about just how this stuff is scripted. And I even have a video going into, who, the reason I think, I'm still, learning more, about the history, because so much has been hidden on who we are as black people and why we're always under attack. There's a deeper reason. It goes really deep, man. And the reason we're under attack is something very deep why we're always under attack. There is a deeper reason why they're against us. And for those of you who watch me who are Hebrew Israelites, y'all know some of the reasons you can find in the Bible. The Bible is encoded by the numbers when it comes to the Jesuits as well. But there's something way deeper even outside the Bible, man. Why we always under attack, man. It's just we always is the motherfuckers that's getting the blame for everything, bro. Niggas just trying to just exist and motherfuckers crashing out that we breathe in oxygen. It's very strange, but I'm going to have a video on that. But yeah, I'm done with this video, man. This whole thing is manufactured. Just another polarizing racial story to have people crashing out over. Yeah. That's all I got to say for this video, though, man. I'm out.